So it's coming up to the end of October, which means Inktober is almost over for all of you who have managed to do a picture every day. If you are doing a picture every day, well done, because I know how hard that is. Now, I started doing Inktober around 2017, and I did it for several years, and then last year everything was such a mess because we were in the middle of major building work in our house. I couldn't find my beautiful pip pens, which I love to use for Inktober, and I ended up just doing a few leaf pictures. The weather was beautiful, the leaves were starting to change colour, and I just went into my garden, collected some leaves and just did various leaves, but I really didn't get very much done because I was trying to work with builders walking around. My sons were painting. It was just a nightmare, and I was still living out of boxes because there was just so much work to do on the house. So this year I have my lovely Faber-Castell Pitt Artist pens. They have the most beautiful autumn colours. And again, I'm not working from any prompts because haven't been feeling very well over this month. It's been a very difficult month for me. It's extremely cold, it's wet, it's windy. We've had lots of thunderstorms. With the heating costs, we've not put the heating on, so we're really cold. So I wrapped myself in a blanket, sat in my chair and just did some little pictures. Now, I was really obsessed about 10 days ago with swirls and like bubble type shapes, pebble shapes, and so I decided, got some of my favourite colours out because I needed cheering up, and I started with this picture on the top left here, which was with the zebra mild liners, and then I decided let's try the Posca metallics. Now they have a very subtle sheen, but they're metallic red, blue and green. I think they're very pretty. And then I decided, hey, how about we mix it up a bit and use the Posca metallics and the zebra mild liners. And I've got several layers on here because I just kept adding layers and going over things. So the background is basically the same, but with the little swirls I did them very differently. And I always work in threes because if you get an idea, I never use the first idea. I like to experiment. Sometimes the experiment goes wrong and I don't use it, but I think it's really great to really practice and to get a good idea of how things look with different colours, different shapes, different pens. So a trio is a great way of experimenting, and then you can either expand on that for a bigger picture, or you can just say, well, it's an experiment, it didn't really work, I don't like that, or I like this. And these are little reference pictures that I will put away, and I've got all the details of the colours I've used on the back, so I can come back to these at any time. And meanwhile, I've done my daily doodles. I've taken my mind away from all the worries that we currently have in the world and in our country, and the cost of living and everything else, and I've just spent a happy time totally away where I was worry free for a short while. And then of course we came into my pumpkins. I adore pumpkins. My sons like to carve them for Halloween, but before they start carving them I like to draw them and take lots of photos of them. And in the shops this year I saw something called a ghost pumpkin, which was white, and it was on the online shopping, but unfortunately they'd sold out and they were also quite expensive. So I decided to use white pen and pencil on black and to actually experiment with different lines and different shading of doing a white ghost pumpkin. And then of course the most beautiful colours. I really love the colours of the lovely oranges that you get on these main pumpkins. This was a tiny pumpkin that I've never seen before, but it was much more of a flatter shape, and then I went to the more traditional shape. So I varied the lines, the colours, the shading, and these are just practices for doing my big Halloween picture, because ever since I started Inktober I like to gather different elements from different pictures that I've done through Inktober and make a bigger picture, and a pumpkin is always central to my picture for Halloween. It's such an important element, the pumpkin in Halloween. So I'm not quite sure how I will use these pictures, which elements I will use. I mean, for my final picture I won't be using the swirls. That was just something that I was really enjoying doing. But the pumpkin is definitely important. This week I'm going to be doing some trios of leaf pictures with different leaf shapes and colours, and I'll probably put a few floating leaves into my picture. And I'm not really sure exactly how the finished picture will go, but hopefully it will turn out okay. And I want to make it a bit different to the pictures I've done in the past for Inktober. So it's a little bit of experimenting, it's just fun. And because these are quite small pictures, they don't take too long to do. They're great reference pictures. I can put these away in a folder. On the back of each picture I write down the date I did the picture, the pens I used, the shades I used, and I have a brilliant little reference library, and I can see how the colours work together, and it's just a really good way of doing things. So I'd say to you, when you are working small, don't throw those pictures away. Find some sort of folder or box to file them in, and you can build up a wonderful reference library. Rather than just swatching your colours, you can actually see how they work with other colours, and it's just a great thing to do. I mean, swatching's great as well, but I like my little reference library, and I've got quite a collection of these Peter Pauper tiles now. So I really encourage you, even if you're feeling really unwell and you're feeling really fed up, just lose yourself in your daily doodles and it will make you feel better, even if it's just for a short while.